Hi, everyone. My name is Faye, and I lead business development for Bluespace. We are a Silicon Valley-based startup that provides predictive perception for all autonomy. If you could go to the next slide. Companies have been working on autonomy for over 10 years now, which begs the question, why isn't autonomy everywhere? This is because the deep learning approach that is utilized by most AV companies today requires millions and billions of miles of training data and HD maps for a vehicle to perceive the world around it and how it's changing. This approach leaves room for endless edge cases in the real world where an AV might not know how to handle the situation and unfortunately has resulted in accidents and fatalities, as we've all seen in the press. Performance perspective-wise, high latency and high compute often are required of these systems and make it difficult to deploy in public roads. Lastly, this approach doesn't scale. In order to enter new markets, you have to drive around for weeks, if not months, collecting training data and map the entire location before you're able to deploy. On the next slide, at Bluespace, we've developed a predictive perception software that measures the true motion of all objects in real time instead of relying on inference. Our software works with no training data and no HD mapping, meaning that it's scalable across geographies and can work anywhere immediately. You can use our software as a standalone perception module or as an add-on to any existing AV stack as an extra layer of safety and redundancy. Not only have we achieved what wasn't possible before in handling all objects in all locations, but we also provide additional benefits to the AV stack. First, with improved reliability. Because our software is motion first and we don't train on or classify any objects, we work in all situations. We also enable a faster reaction time for motion planning and controls. Most other AV systems require multiple frames of data in order to make a prediction about an object's motion. Bluespace is able to provide the full motion measurement in a single frame, allowing you to react immediately. We also run on reduced compute and can run on any automotive grade processor in the market. Other AV systems you might have seen require special AI chip or GPU, which can take up a lot of power and also significantly limit the range in batteries and EVs. Bluespace enables the commercialization of all autonomy. You can go to the next slide. As I mentioned before, our software works with no HD mapping and no prior training, two of which are the most capital and time intensive activities to deploy an AV. Because we don't collect tons of data and we don't operate on camera vision, our software is also free from data privacy concerns. And because our algorithms are measurement-based, we're certifiable by third parties like any other automotive system, and we avoid the common pitfalls and challenges with verifying and validating the black box approach of deep learning. You can move to the next slide. Our software works on all vehicle form factors and across all scenarios, on and off the road, whether it's four-door passenger vehicles, mining trucks, or military applications. Bluespace provides a truly scalable solution for ADAS and autonomous driving development. Next slide. We know how hard it is to build and test a perception system from scratch. So we've made it easy to engage with us in proofs of concept through our early access platform, where we provide a pre-calibrated hardware and software unit for partners to test with immediately. We've already completed a handful of POCs with automotive tier 1 suppliers and OEMs and have more underway. Next slide. Today, we're looking for additional partners to engage with through POCs, government contracting opportunities, and we're also raising our next round early next year and happy to meet with investors that might be interested in participating in our Series A. Next slide. If you're interested in discussing further, please contact us. Our team is comprised of AV industry veterans that have really pushed deep learning and AV development to its limits, learned from it, and built Bluespace. We've also participated in various industry accelerators and pitch competitions like the NASA iTech competition, where we were named a Cycle 1 winner, and also recently completed the SAP.io accelerator for new mobility. And in conclusion, we're Bluespace, 4D predictive perception for all autonomy. Looking forward to building the future with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Faye. Opening up the floor for questions.
I have a question. So I'm trying to I'm familiar with the GM's work in Israel on measuring speed using radar. So like, how do you compete here with all the kind of major corporations, all the players that kind of have their own in-house solutions? With that, what's kind of your competitive edge here?
Yep. So our competitive edge is our approach to perception. So there are many other players in the industry that already have perception software, but their approach is usually built on deep learning and training a system with millions of miles of data. We have a measurement-based approach where we're able to provide the full motion of all objects instead of inferring what that motion might be.
So you take it from what's your kind of input, a regular RGB camera or something else?
So our inputs are 4D sensors, so usually imaging radars or FMCW lidars.
So you already have Doppler data?
That's right, we do.
Okay. Sorry, to me it's not really clear, like how it would compete with the GM's internal solution. Never mind.
Yeah, so hardware alone, with 4D sensors, you already get Doppler, but that only gives you radial measurement, and Bluespace's software takes those inputs and makes calculations to provide full motion measurement. So radial, lateral, and yaw rate. And so we're able to provide additional measurements of the object and how it's moving.
Okay. Do you have anything on RGB, using RGB cameras, using vision alone?
We don't use camera vision.
Okay.
Any other questions for Faye? There's one question in the chat was, how do you protect your cybersecurity?
Yeah, so our system, we don't collect and maintain a lot of data. And so we're able to have a safe and secure system. And we're also able to be certified to be automotive grade. And so those concerns would be addressed through that validation process, like any other system in a vehicle.
Awesome, cool. Time for one last question if we have it.
Do you have any current US automotive companies that testing your product?
Yep. So we're working with a handful of automotive tier 1 suppliers here in the US and abroad. Most of those partnerships are under NDA, but we are actively testing with them.
Okay.